Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, we've got to talk about a massive financial paradox happening literally right now. At this very moment, Americans have more money sitting in retirement accounts than at any point in human history. It's incredible. But at the exact same time, we're yanking that money back out faster than at any point in the last 20 years. Both of those things are happening in the exact same 12-month period. I mean, somewhere right now, someone is staring at a record account balance on their phone and a withdrawal form on the exact same screen with their thumb hovering over the wrong option. So today, we're going to fix the order of operations, not just the amount you save.
So, what's the plan? Well, here is our step-by-step sequential blueprint. We're going to cover the price of retirement, fixing the leaks, a guaranteed 22% return, the secret tax weapon, buying your raises back, and finally, the winning sequence. We're going to walk through all of this using 3 hardworking people as our guides. Ella, who's a 37-year-old dental hygienist, Josiah, a 44-year-old HVAC pro, and Olivia, a 29-year-old claims adjuster. They all get regular paychecks, but they have 3 entirely different leaks in their financial buckets. By the end of this, you'll see how one of them ends the decade with almost nothing, proving that wealth is absolutely about sequence, not just income.
All right, part 1, the price of retirement. To start us off, we actually have to define the destination and the shocking reality of where America stands right now. Because let's be honest, almost nobody actually prices out what never working again costs. The standard rule of thumb for this is 25 times your annual spending. Notice I said spending there, not your income. The Bureau of Labor Statistics puts average household spending at $78,535 a year. Now, obviously, this is an average pulled up by high earners, but if we take it at face value, multiplying that by 25 prices the retirement tag at roughly $2 million. That right there is the destination in one single number.
But consider the massive gap between the average and the median in this country. Vanguard just published a report covering nearly 5 million workers, and the average balance hit a record $167,970. Sounds great, right? But think about the median. The person standing exactly in the middle of the pack only has $44,115. If you run a standard 4% withdrawal rate on that median balance, it yields only $147 a month. You know, that's not a retirement. That is just a tank of gas and a Tuesday grocery run.
Let's move into part 2, fixing the leaks. Because the reason for this huge gap really isn't a lack of hard work.
Our guides, Ella, Josiah, and Olivia, they all work incredibly hard. The gap is about a leaky bucket. Step 1 to fixing it is taking the only guaranteed return anyone will ever offer you, your employer match. The average employer promises a match worth about 4.7% of your pay, with the median right at 4%. For someone like Ella making $60,000, if her plan matches 50 cents on the dollar up to 6%, well, that's an instant guaranteed 50% return on her money before the stock market even opens. Yet, because auto-enrollment defaults are usually set way below the full match, about 1 in 4 workers miss an average of $1,336 a year. Let's be real, that isn't a savings mistake, that is literally a pay cut you volunteered for.
But here is the critical catch. Step 1 only survives if you complete Step 2, which is building a 90-day cash cushion. Now, I know it feels completely unexciting to just let cash sit there doing nothing, but it is the single reason some investments survive and others just get wiped out. A record 6% of Vanguard participants took a hardship withdrawal last year. That just proves that jumping into investing without a cushion means you will eventually have to raid your own future.
And the actual cost of that raid is brutal. $1,900 is the median hardship withdrawal. This happens to be the exact amount Josiah pulled from his 401k when his work fan's condenser fan motor went out, and on top of that, his daughter needed a dental crown. Because he had zero cash savings, he raided his future. If he had just left that money alone for 30 years at 7%, it would have become over $14,000. Instead, after getting hit with a 10% penalty and taxes, Josiah actually received about $1,292 today. So he traded roughly $14,000 in future dollars for a heavily taxed fraction of that today. That is, hands down, the worst exchange rate in America. Okay, part 3, the guaranteed 22% return. Once that boring but absolutely vital cash cushion is in place, we move to the 3rd step, which is going to completely reframe how we look at paying off debt. This illustrates exactly why you must pay off high-interest debt next. The average interest rate right now on credit cards carrying a balance is a staggering 22.15%.
If you're carrying the average $6,500 balance and only paying the minimums, it's going to take you 21 years and cost you $11,000 in pure interest. Paying off a 22% card is a 22% return, guaranteed tax-free with zero volatility. I mean, put that next to Vanguard's 10-year stock market forecast of a hopeful 4 to 6% return. It's not even close.
Ella carries absolutely no card balance, which is the deeply unglamorous reason her employer match actually compounds for her, instead of secretly funding some bank's interest revenue. Josiah, on the other hand, is the highest earner of our three guides, but he skipped this step and continues to do the absolute most damage to his wealth. It proves, once again, that order dictates success.
Moving right along to Part 4, the secret tax weapon. Let's see how all this builds into an account almost nobody in this country uses correctly.
We are talking about the Health Savings Account, the HSA. Guys, this is quietly the best account in the entire American tax code. If you have a qualifying high-deductible health plan, the HSA offers 3 distinct tax breaks that literally nothing else in the tax code does. The money goes in untaxed, it grows untaxed, and it comes out untaxed for medical costs. Plus, if you do it through your payroll, it even dodges FICA taxes. A $4,400 contribution saves you around $1,300 in taxes in a single year.
But here is the absolute tragedy when you look at the data. Roughly 10% of these accounts actually have the money invested. The other 90% of HSA money is just sitting there in cash. It is basically a retirement account wearing a checking account costume. The accounts that actually invest their funds average $24,252, nearly 10 times the amount of the uninvested ones. Our claims adjuster, Olivia, she had one for 4 years, got a $500 employer deposit, assumed it was just some confusing insurance thing, and left it in cash. She was 4 clicks away from tax-free compounding and didn't even know it.
Which brings us to Part 5, buying your raises back. This 5th step is the only one that is actually about growth, and it relies on the single variable with the most brutal leverage in the entire equation, your savings rate. Think about how powerful this dial is. With the current average U.S. savings rate sitting at just 2.6%, and assuming you're earning a 5% real return, it would take you 80 years to reach your 25x retirement goal. You would literally have to start working as a toddler. But if you hold everything else constant and just turn up that one dial, at a 10% savings rate, it drops to 52 years. At a 50% savings rate, it's 17 years. The fraction of your paycheck that never enters your checking account is the whole game.
But let's be real. Nobody can just magically jump their savings rate from 2% to 30% on a random Tuesday. The secret mechanism here is buying your raises back. When you get a raise, your lifestyle usually digests it within about 8 weeks. So you have to intercept it. The very same day a bonus or raise hits, you increase your contribution rate by that exact same amount. Olivia got a 4% raise, opened her payroll portal that exact day, and bumped her contribution up 4 points. The money never touched her checking account, so she never felt the loss, but she literally shaved decades off her working years.
And when you finally invest that money, you need to put it somewhere incredibly, beautifully boring, like a broad index fund. Last year, 79% of actively managed large-cap funds lost to the S&P 500. As this quote perfectly captures, by paying high fees for active management, you are paying a professional to be worse than a spreadsheet. The Vanguard participants who did absolutely nothing during market volatility were the ones who ended up with record balances. Boring is the strategy. Finally, Part 6, the winning sequence. Let's bring it all together and see exactly where this mathematical order of operations leaves our 3 hardworking characters. So here is the final scoreboard. Josiah out-earned everyone. But because he skipped right to investing first without building a cushion or killing his bad debt, a single broken van motor ruined his momentum, and he ends the decade with almost nothing. Ella got her match on day 1, which is great, but she skipped the cash cushion, meaning one bad car transmission puts her right back at 0. But Olivia? Despite having the lowest income of the 3, she logged into her HSA, invested it, bought her raises back through auto-escalation, and quietly won the game. She didn't earn more, she just respected the sequence. Look, the system isn't rooting against you, but it definitely isn't designed to explain this sequence to you either. Every single step we covered is really just about moving dollars you already generate into positions where they stop leaking out and start compounding for you. So I'll leave you with this provocative question to think about. Will you log into your payroll portal tonight, not this weekend, but tonight, find your match and plug the leak? Or will you quietly volunteer for another pay cut? Fix your sequence and you can mathematically turn work into something you choose instead of something you have to do.